Hello, everybody. It's another Thursday. I'm Rex Sikes, and welcome to All Things Rex Worldwide. Today, we have a special episode for you. And when I say special, I mean special. We're going to talk about the placebo effect, the power of belief, and how do you know when somebody's genuinely interested in helping you versus when they're not. And if you're watching live, you certainly can leave comments during this presentation. I'm going to present to you a talk that I gave recently at the NeuroScience Summit about the placebo effect and everything that I just mentioned. So I'm looking forward to you being involved. And you can leave comments in the chat room or live or wherever you are. And watch the show till the end. And when we get to the end, I'll happily answer some questions if you have that. But at the end, we're going to cut to a special announcement from the Los Angeles Tribune. So watch the presentation all the way to the end. There'll be a special, the announcement from the Los Angeles Tribune. I'll come back, answer some questions if there are any, and then we'll close out the show. So welcome to this special episode of All Things Rex. It is special because next week is Thanksgiving. We won't be having a show, so our next show is going to be in December. And of course, we have limited shows in December because of the two holidays. So enjoy this presentation today, and we'll see you on the other side of it. I'm Rex Sikes, and I'm glad you're here with me. Oh, and by the way, I should tell you, you can like the show, you can share the show, and as I said, you can leave comments live or in replay. But the very same links that are the live link, the live stream link that you're watching, or whether it's YouTube or Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, wherever, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching, becomes the replay link as soon as the program has completed recording. So you can use that very same link to share the show. You can use that link to let other people know about the show and to watch it again. So here's a special presentation. It's on the placebo effect, the power of belief, healing, and energy, and how you can tell when someone's genuinely interested in helping you. All right, I'm Rex Sikes. This was from the Neuro Resources and connecting up with your inner abilities. And one of the things that I love about Mo Rock is that is part of his mission with the LA Tribune, is to connect people to resources and to help people live the life of their dreams by tapping in to what most people will never ever tap into. So this is a man, and his paper, the Los Angeles Tribune, is on a mission to help the world, not just report the news, but to actually edify and uplift and to make the world a better place. And he's collected so many wonderful people around him to help him in that. Yes, I'm Rex Sikes, and I am honored again to be here with you. And thank you, Mo, and thank you, Carissa, and thank you, Ava. I'm the author of Life on Your Terms, Create the Life You Want. I am the developer of something called Mind Design, Directed Questions, and the Attitude Activator, plus numerous positive, powerful programs to help you transform your spirit, your mind, your feelings, and actions to get the results you've always wanted. Now, all of them are available through my website, rexsikes.com. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this up front. I have a free gift for all of those who are here at the summit. It's at my website, so just be sure to go and pick it up. It's a 22-minute MP3 audio to help you whenever you're struggling. And plus, when you get my book, Life on Your Terms, from Amazon, I'll give you a bonus online training valued at $497 on how to master your thoughts, your speech, your behaviors, and your pocketbook. It's called The Mastery Loop, and it's for free. And all of the instructions are at rexsikes.com. So I say that now because if I run out of time, I want to make sure that I connect you up with resources. And while we're here, we've talked about a lot of things. I don't know if we've talked about mirror neurons yet, trainment, and I'm happy to do that at some time. But I know you've heard some about the placebo effect during the summit, and I'd like to expand on this important topic for a bit. Now, we could talk for days on this subject, but here's the thing. Attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your life. Now, it's why I created the Attitude Activator. I'm going to repeat this. Attitude is the number one predictor for success. And this comes from studies on the placebo effect, or as Mark called it, power of your beliefs, and imagination. And that was Mark Walden I referred to. Now, more than 4 decades ago, when I began my research and work in this area, I worked with evangelists, healers of all kinds, medical practitioners, psychologists, psychics, meditators, gurus, and mystics. Not only did I research, but I spent time with living examples, and I practiced everything I modeled and studied. I did a deep dive, and I encourage you to do the same. And it is from experience and this research that I speak. And I rolled what I discovered in my work with hypnosis and meditation and NLP and other related disciplines. In fact, I even incorporated acting and performance and presentation storytelling skills into the mix. Now, at that time, way back when, there were only a few studies on the placebo and health. Now, it was dismissed, the placebo was dismissed by medicine as, well, that's just the placebo, or that's just the placebo effect. Now, today, there are thousands of studies, and we are beginning to understand the power of this, and yet few really ever do. Now, and we may never, for that matter. Your brain and your mind is so very incredible. It's so much more wonderful than you can even begin to appreciate. It's designed to do two or three things. The first one is to keep you alive by noticing threats so you can avoid them, so that you can fight or freeze or flee. Now, here's something important, and if you're taking notes, we do not have a negativity bias. That's just BS. We have a survival bias. Our brain is designed to keep you alive, and it's designed, number two, to keep you thriving so you reproduce. And what does that mean? It means it keeps you alive so that you can have sex. You can say that with me. You can have sex. That's the fun part about being alive. Now, to do this, it keeps you consistent through laying down neural pathways. This is number three. It streamlines everything so you don't have to learn it over and over again. It conserves energy so that you survive and thrive and can have sex. The fun part. Now, this has an upside and it has a downside. You have habits which are wonderful, and they support you in surviving and in thriving, and that's the upside. Now, the downside is you have habits. And some are great and some are not so great. But all of your habits, all of my habits are learned and they're wired in. And again, this is very good news because it means that you can learn and wire in new ones that serve you better than the old ones that you grew up getting from your conditioning. Now, here's something really important. Your brain only does what it knows to do. It only does what it's been conditioned to do, been trained to do through growing up and having experiences. It's like your computer. It's programmed. It can't do all sorts of other things. Your computer can't work against you. It only carries out its programming. So it can only move in one direction, and that is to serve you by what it has been programmed or conditioned to do. And that came through our experiences. I cannot do what it does not know to do, and it only and always says yes. It is a complete and utter servant. So if it determines that something is a threat, now, by the way, it doesn't say anything to you. It's not a human in there talking to you. It's electrochemical processes and neural networks, all right? It doesn't judge and it doesn't label. It doesn't understand much of what you do consciously. There's a division of labor between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So imagine this for a second. Before humans were on the planet, there were earthquakes and volcanoes and lightning strikes and fires and floods and all that. And there was no one around to call it good or bad. It just was. It just is. Okay? Well, that's the brain. The subconscious mind is the very same way. It doesn't make any judgments. You do, I do. We go, a house burned down. We go, that's bad, that's horrible, that's terrible, or whatever. Or somebody got a job or a promotion or something, oh, that's really great. We consciously have learned to make judgments and make labels, but the brain doesn't judge. It doesn't judge you good or bad. If you smoke, it doesn't go, hey, I suck, I'm a smoker, and that's horrible. It just does it because it learned it. It carries out the behaviors that it's learned. And it will carry them out until you change them. It doesn't think smoking is bad. It doesn't think overeating is bad or drugs are bad or too much sex is bad or too many. It just does what it's been programmed to do. You and I may think it's bad, but the brain doesn't. So today, we know what we've known for thousands of years and what I started teaching in the 80s. You can rewire your brain. It grows and it evolves. It is a use it or lose it phenomenon. It's called neuroplasticity. And we didn't have that word until recently, okay? But that means you can train your brain and recondition your brain. It used to be thought by experts, by scientists, but not by the mystics, that the brain was like a jar, and that once it was full, it filled, you could do no more with it. In fact, all you could do is kind of slough stuff out of it. But the brain really is more like a jungle, a living, thriving, exciting, evolving, living organism. And that's so cool. If you nurture it, if you use it, if you take care of it, you can rewire it, you can grow it, you can evolve it. Stop using it, and it's a use it or lose it. It cannot sabotage you. It cannot sabotage you. This is a silly psychological subject that came up. You know what? I discuss this at length in Life on Your Terms because your brain can only do what it's learned to do. So it can't sabotage you. We can talk. It's more true that you attempt to sabotage it, but you can change that too. And this is a topic for another day, or you can read about it in my book. Okay. The power of attitude as the predictor, the top predictor for success, and the placebo effect is part of attitude. We know from numerous studies. Now, back when I started, there were a handful. Now there's over 45,000 studies about the placebo effect and imagination and visualization and how this all works together. But one study I want to quote or cite is the Travis Air Force Base Cancer Study, and it demonstrated long ago that attitude toward the treatment or the success of the treatment is the number one predictor for the success of the treatment. That means if you believe it will help, it will help. And if you believe it won't, it won't. And by the way, there's a placebo effect and the nocebo effect, and we won't get into all that. But no, if you believe it will help, it will likely help. And if you believe it won't help, it likely won't. And you may have heard Mark Walden on day one say acupuncture works even if you only believe the needles are being put in place. Now let that sink in. There's another study. So if you imagine the dumbbell studies, I think Mark or Dan mentioned the lifting weights, but there's a dumbbell study. There were many of them, but the one that I want to cite is in this particular study shows that you can benefit just by imagining. Now, how you imagine is important, and I discuss that at an upcoming NLP Master Summit on generating new behaviors, like next week. But it's in one of many studies on visualization and imagination with weights. There were 3 groups, and they were divided and were given tasks. The first group was told to lift a certain weight a certain number of times for a certain number of days, and to actually lift the dumbbell. The second group only visualized lifting the dumbbell a certain weight, certain number of times, certain number of days. And the last group was a control group. They were told to do nothing. So the first group improved 31%. They had a 31% increase in muscle size and strength. The group that only visualized had a 17% increase in muscle size and strength, and the control group, as expected, had a 0% of change because they were not told to do anything. Now, think about this. By only properly imagining lifting, they benefited in increased size and strength measurements by 17%. And someone will say, well, that's not as important as good as 31%. No, but guess what? It's by more than half they improved just by using the power of the mind, by more than 50%. Now, as I said, there are numerous studies demonstrating this. Bodybuilders have always known this. They lift and they imagine their muscles growing, and they imagine the body sculpting itself. The athletes know this, and they use their inner work to improve performance and develop muscle memory. I mean, wow, right? This is so very wonderful. I hope you're excited, because what we can do and who we are is phenomenal. It's truly amazing. And what you can do and who you are is phenomenal. So celebrate this, celebrate it. If you believe something is difficult and requires great effort, then it's likely that it will. And if you believe you can do it more easily and effortlessly and accomplish it, then you're bound to find out that this too is true. You know, what you believe, this is the power of the placebo effect, determines what you see and what you can entertain and understand, and at least in part, or what you can understand at least in part, what you believe determines whether you will act or not. Now, I hope I made that clear. What you believe determines whether you will act or not. Research after thousands of years now verifies this. This is a primary benefit of the neuroscience research. It provides further validation for what we already knew worked. I mean, think about that. Mystics and others have been talking about this for centuries, and now neuroscience is coming along going, yep. And if you think it's possible, and you think it's likely, and you can do it, then you may go for it. But if you think otherwise, you most probably won't. You see, if you can do it, that may lead to will do it. And that's a decision that you make. To do it is a decision you have to make. But can't do it most likely leads you to won't do it. You get this? I hope so. Your beliefs are so powerful. They shape your relationship with the world. And whether you let circumstances, events, or others deter you is determined by your beliefs. Now, some won't do something because they don't think they can do it. And others act in spite of circumstances. One of my favorite characters in the Think and Grow Rich book is introduced in chapter 1 is Edward C. Barnes. Wanted to be a partner of Edison. He obsessed about this until he hopped the freight train, got to New Jersey, and put Thomas Edison on notice. I'm going to go into partnership with you. And Edison gave him a job as a janitor. And he spent 5 years working as a janitor. And if you read about it, he says, for 5 years, nothing. There was no outward indication, no circumstances from people or other people that Barnes would ever be a partner of Edison. But inside his head, inside him, he kept the passion and the fire and the dream alive, knowing that he was Edison's partner. And after 5 years, an opportunity opened up. It did result in a partnership with Edison, and the rest is history. Now, R.U. Darby and his uncle is another famous story you're probably familiar with called 3 Feet from Gold. R.U. Darby and his uncle invested in some gold mining equipment because they learned that there was a gold vein on a certain property. So they got the equipment, they went and they started mining, and they hit gold, and it was very profitable for a while. And they dug and they dug and they brought up gold and brought up gold. And then guess what happened? They stopped getting gold, and they dug and no gold, and they dug and they no gold, and they dug and they didn't find gold. And so they said, oh, better cut our losses. They sold the equipment to the landowner, who was smart enough to hire a consultant, a geologist, who said, hey, you know what? They stopped digging 3 feet from the richest gold vein in this property. So what's the difference between Barnes and Darby? Barnes didn't look at his circumstances and let it stop him. And Darby and his uncle looked at circumstances and said, well, there's no gold here. Obviously, we got to get out of here. And they quit. So consider this. There are quadriplegics who can't move anything, and yet they get up and walk. I read about one in my book, Life on Your Terms. My friend, 2-time Olympic high jumper Jamie Nieto was paralyzed in an accident and could only flex his left pectoral muscle while on a ventilator. The prognosis was he would probably never, ever walk again. And now he walks, he moves, he's an actor, he's a writer and a producer in a television show and others. He's fathered 2 children with his lovely Olympic champion bride because he decided he would do it. He wanted to be able to walk his bride down the aisle at their wedding unassisted, and using the power of his mind that he learned as an athlete and his faith, he did it. Dan Clark, who you heard on the very first day, overcame 14 months of paralysis and 16 doctors, experts telling him he would never be the same. I mean, awesome, right? I mean, there are countless stories of cancer survivors and others facing death sentences or horrible prognoses who have proved everything to everything and everyone. They have proved everything and everyone wrong and are living and thriving because they decided they would, no matter what the odds or what the experts told them or what the circumstances were or are. They didn't let that stop them. You heard from Amberly, who told us doctors gave her 1% chance that she'd have the use of her leg and they wanted to amputate it. And she said, that's 1% I have to live the way I want. and she decided it would be a different outcome. And she does. Today, she has her legs, she moves, she walks because of this, the power of belief between her ears. Your attitude determines what you will or will not do. Your attitudes and beliefs are the best investment area you can make. By activating your attitude, by developing a powerful, positive attitude, you can experience having incredible success, happiness, physical health, wealth, and spiritual well-being. I mean, wow or wow. Is that wonderful or is that not wonderful? I mean, you can't, now you can't undo all your beliefs, and nor can you find all the habits that keep you the same. And unfortunately, we don't have time to go into that here. I do in my book and in my programs, but you can absolutely recondition and reprogram your mind or your new habits more easily and with more fun and delight than most others will tell you. I hear that again. You can do this with more fun and with greater ease, with less effort and delight than most others will tell you. But it does require you to be consistent and persistent. But you do not have to struggle. Your brain works by principles or laws, the law of conservation and least effort. That means it does things to save energy. It doesn't overwork, and it takes the fewest steps to accomplish an outcome, not the most steps, nor does it work the hardest. Remember, it saves energy to survive and thrive so you can have sex, right? So habits are the way it streamlines and saves energy and time. Oh, yet many people will tell you it requires hard work, sacrifice, and massive action, which is a myth, but it can work. But it's just more arduous. It's a more arduous path. And in many ways, it's meant to keep you the same and weak and dependent on outside forces. These people either don't understand how the brain works or how the laws work, or they really don't want you to get ahead because they want you to be dependent on them. Society certainly wants you a worker bee. Now, we can discuss more about this at another time, but suffice to say, when your attitude is right, everything falls into place, and the facts and the circumstances don't matter because you are using more of the full power of your brain and mind. Because you and me, you are a collection of miraculous, infinite possibilities, resources, and opportunities. But most people, including the people in the self-help arena, don't want you to know this because then you understand this and you don't need them. Or again, they don't know it themselves. I mean, that's the other possibility. So who should you pay attention to? Who do you read and who do you listen to is an important topic. And thank goodness the LA Tribune brings us great people to listen to and to learn from. Okay. But first know this. No one can teach you. No one can do it for you. And no one can heal you. You are the one who does all of this. You must understand you are the one in charge, even if you've never lived this way before. You're a learner, and everything you know and everything you do, you learned. So what matters most now is how open are you? How available are you to change and do new things? Because if you always do things the way you've always done them, you'll always get what you always got. You know that phrase, right? So in order to have a different kind of life, you have to change some things and you have to be open and available. But people don't like to leave their comfort zones. Again, that's because of habits. The brain's job is to keep you consistent, to keep you the same. Why? To save energy, keep you alive, and keep you thriving so you can have sex, so you can reproduce. It's all the brain knows. So the question I have is, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to be coachable or teachable and change? That's the question you should ask yourself often. Am I open? Am I willing to change? Am I willing to be coachable? Can I allow somebody to teach me? You are the actor. Okay? Others can't do it for you. Only you can do it for you. Only you are in charge of you. Only you are in charge of what's between your ears or what you do with your body. It's time to take charge of your transformation and train yourself how you want to manifest what you want to create, how you want to live your life. And 3, you are the healer. Your body knows already how to heal. And that's what it does. I mean, if you take a medicine or a placebo, your attitude to them is what matters the most. That's what the belief effect or the placebo effect is about. Your body heals, and it can heal with medicine or it can heal without medicine. That's what the placebo effect has demonstrated. And it's always operating. Travis Air Force Base demonstrated this. If you need medicine or assistance, your attitude toward these is important. You can never separate out the placebo effect. You can't divorce it from anything. You cannot turn it off. You cannot turn it on. It's why voodoo is effective all these years. It's why and how people get sick too. I mean, if you think, maybe I'm getting a little something, well, maybe you are, or maybe you're enhancing it. Got to understand this. If you think something will work, you enhance it, at least, in the very least. And there are studies with weightlifting and shooting baskets and all sorts of other things about the power of visualizing and doing, like lifting the dumbbells and visualizing, and how that works to make things better. So if you think nothing will work, you put power into that notion that nothing will work. Get this. If you put power into the notion that nothing will work, nothing will work. Okay. Your brain and your body, by the way, are no different. They're just different aspects of one incredible organism made up of trillions of cells working together cooperatively, simultaneously, and sequentially. I mean, you're a walking and talking miracle. But, if you're like most people, you aren't in awe of yourself. You just, whatever. You're not in awe of your natural abilities. You think, I'm too fat, I'm broke, I'm stupid, or a different day, same old shit, or nothing ever works out for me, or I don't like my toes. I mean, for goodness sakes, you have to know this. You are already that which you seek. There are infinite possibilities, opportunities, and resources. You have the power to heal and the power to act and the power to take charge, the power to be open and to rewire and reprogram yourself. You are so amazing. I encourage you, fall in love with yourself. Discover who you are and what you are capable of, and express and exude genuine gratitude and appreciation. I mean, the human's attention goes to problems. That's the survival bias. It's there to keep us alive. If you hit your thumb with a hammer, your attention goes to your thumb and what is wrong, so you don't keep injuring it. But everything else in you is working perfectly well. Everything else is fine. Everything is good. Focus on all the good and not just on the thumb. Yeah, take care of the thumb, but focus on all the goodness. Appreciate all the goodness that you are, and not on the problems that you think you have. You see, what consumes our attention, what consumes your attention, determines your experience. What you focus on expands. Now, you and I, think about this, we don't even know how to blink consciously. I mean, we can do it, but we can't consciously control everything we need to do it, okay? But you can do it. You can go blink, and the person can blink, but you don't know all the muscles, all the chemicals, all the electrical impulses, everything that has to happen just for your eyes to blink. Do you have any idea how incredible this is? I mean, think about it. So who you listen to is important. It's important to be discerning. And for this very reason, I want to talk to you about Jesus. But first, let me say, there are many versions of Jesus, and we don't even for certain know that he even existed, okay? But there's the Jesus you know. There's the Catholic Jesus, the Greek Orthodox Jesus, the Jewish Jesus, the fundamentalist version. Atheists have a version, and there are many others. And I am not concerned with which version you may have chosen. But Jesus, for me, is the example, not the exception. Now, I repeat, you want to write this down. He's the example of what we all can do. He said, greater things than I do, you will do. He is not the exception. He demonstrated what are called miracles, but he said what he did, you would do greater things. So when he talked with people, he'd ask, do you believe you are healed? Beliefs, right? Placebo, right? And when they said yes, he said, go, your faith has made you whole. Go and sin no more. And this is really important. He didn't say, I healed you. Praise me. He said, your faith healed you. Your belief, the placebo, you have healed yourself, or God healed you. And who is God? The God within you. Now go and sin no more. Don't continue as you were. Stop making the same mistakes and live new. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your faith has made you whole. He's the example of what we can do and who we are. He's not the exception. Now, he didn't draw attention to himself. He drew attention to the power within the individual. He helped people tap into their inner resources and their belief to transform without taking any credit. He didn't make people dependent on him, but freed them to live successfully by telling them, go and live your life. When he fed the 5,000, he didn't go, oh, and you can thank me later, by the way. There's an opportunity for each of us to talk about the message or the messenger, or to talk about the bus and not the bus driver. I mean, a tour guide doesn't talk about the tour guide, but what you can notice and experience. And this is important when seeking who to listen to and to learn from. Do they talk more about what you can do and what you must know, or do they talk mostly about themselves? Do they put the power where it belongs, and that's in you, or do they say they do it for you? Now, this is a crucial understanding. Where is the power to be found? In you or in them? Who's benefiting from the power? Now, look, it's true. It's very true. People like shiny objects and saviors, and that's how many people live in the world, and they give their power away to saviors or problems. And they focus on others that help them or that harm them. And they're victims of circumstances and events or other people, the nasty people. They don't like the energy vampires. The stories that I shared of Barnes and Darby are very relevant here. Barnes didn't pay attention to circumstances and had his dreams come true. Darby looked at circumstances and went, this sucks, let's get out of here. There's another story about Jesus walking on the water. Peter sees him, he leaps from the boat, and he begins walking on the water too, right? And then he notices what he's doing, and he doubts, he becomes afraid, and he begins to sink. He lost his certainty or his faith. Jesus stretches out his hand, Peter takes it, and together they walk back to the boat. It's Peter's faith that allowed him to walk at first, and after he started thinking, it's the belief that helped him to walk again. You see, it's up to you. I can't do it for you. No one can. We're all healers. Healing is a part of life. And we're all energy workers. Carissa mentioned this earlier. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. What you are is energy. You are energy, and what you believe about this determines how you will use it. I mean, there's some people who go, I just don't have energy. I need more energy. You got all the energy you ever need. You just don't know how to tap into it yet. But your energy, you're alive. You don't need coffee. You don't need all this stuff. But you do need to know that you are energy, and you are a healer, and you have all sorts of resources and talents and abilities. Tomorrow,
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We have earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
Well, hi, I hope you enjoyed that presentation. It got cut a little bit early, but that's fine. There's always more where that comes from. So if you have questions or comments, I'll spend a few moments here. Happy to answer a question or two or respond to a comment. If not, we'll close out the show early so that you can enjoy the rest of your day, and know that we are not going to do a show next week because it's Thanksgiving. So I wish you a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate wherever you are. And so I'll wait a moment or two to see if there's a question. And while we wait, let me just say, remember, it's important who you listen to. It's who you pay attention to. Plenty of people out there have misinformation, are wrong either intentionally or inadvertently. And that's just sad. The very first action that anyone needs to take is to get their mindset straight, to get their attitude correct. Because when you have your mindset right, your attitude right, everything else falls into place. Your feelings are aligned. You end up speaking what you feel and believe and think. And so your behaviors line up after that. So it's no longer a struggle. You don't have to risk or sacrifice or struggle or effort or work hard. Everything becomes wonderful for you. It becomes the kind of passion that you exude, the kind of enjoy that you have. There are people who, when they're working on things that they really love, they go, I don't work. I've never worked a day in my life. I do what I love. And that's what happens when your mindset is right. But it's not that way if your mindset isn't. If your mindset is incorrect and you're trying to figure out how to do it, and you're working on what strategy, what technique, what approach, what method do I use? How do I do this? I don't know if I can do this. Then everything does become a struggle. It becomes much, much harder than when your mindset is right. And that's why my work since the late 70s, early 80s has always been about attitude and mindset and your ability to make a difference for yourself. Because it can be fun, can be easy, can be a whole lot easier than you think it will be. But you think yourself to success. That's why Napoleon Hill called it think and grow rich, and not work hard and grow rich, or struggle and grow rich, or effort, or work 90 hours a week and grow rich. It was think and grow rich. Because when you're thinking right, you're vibing right. When you're vibing right, you're broadcasting that out to the universe. Your subconscious mind is aligned with you. It's squirting all the right chemicals and hormones in your body for well-being, to help you heal, to help you notice opportunity, and to thrive so that you can have sex, right? So that you can replicate and be a contributing member of this universe, which you already are. So know that. And Jesus was the example. Jesus put the power into the person, not into himself. He didn't say, look at how great I am. I did all these miracles. He said, your faith has made you whole. The power of the placebo, when I say the power of the placebo, it's not the little pill. It's the effect that your beliefs have on your body and on your being. And that's what you want to harness. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And I haven't seen any questions. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about my book, and we're going to close out the show. I want to thank you for your time. I hope you will share this to other people if you found value in this. Go to chapter 3 in my book and read Life on Your Terms if you want to know what I mean by you can't sabotage yourself. No, seriously. Part of that is that your brain only can do what it's learned to do. But you can find out more in the book, obviously. Here's the thing. Like a computer, your computer can't do things that it wasn't programmed for. So your brain isn't programmed to sabotage you. Your brain is programmed to carry out certain behaviors, repeat certain thoughts, certain actions, just like a computer is. So if I say, don't think of an elephant, it can't decide not to think of an elephant. It can't go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's going to think of an elephant. And if I say, think of an elephant, it's going to go, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's going to think of an elephant, because that's how the brain works. So it does not sabotage you. What happens is you decide that you want to do something different from what you're already doing. And then that machinery, all of that subconscious program that's been carrying it out for however long it's been carrying it out, is suddenly told by this little tiny conscious mind, I don't want to do that anymore. And your brain goes, but this is what we learned to do. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. And you go, no, stop sabotaging me. Stop doing it. And the brain goes, this is what we do. So what you need to do is recondition your brain. You need to train it. That's why, again, it's think and grow rich. It's not work hard and struggle, but you do have to recondition it. You do have to take the right action in terms of your thinking, repeat it correctly, consistently for long enough until it becomes a new habit. It becomes you set down those neural wires, the neural pathways, and then your brain aligns with you again. So it's just a training process. It's not trying to harm you. There's no one inside you going, you suck, I'm going to screw you up, I'm going to thwart you so you can't succeed. That's all bogus. It's all BS. It's all crappy psychology nonsense to keep you broken. See, here's the thing. If people can convince you that you're not good enough, or that others are better than you, or that circumstances or the government or weather or religion or anything is responsible for where you are, whether it's your relationship, your health, your happiness, your money, If you think I'm broke because I didn't get the right education, I'm broke because my parents didn't teach me this, I'm broke because the bank is doing such, or that the economy is such, that's the scam that's being run on you. That's the brainwashing that's being run on you to keep you the same, so that you never rise above, so that you never take charge of your life and be the cause of making things happen. You're always at the effect of stuff. You're always at the effect of circumstances, the effect of the weather, you're at the effect of the bank or the government or whatever, or your partner or the people or the barista. It's not my fault. It's them. They're all doing it. And as long as that's the case, you never get ahead. And that's the deception that's being perpetrated on us each and every day. And that's why the media, once it resolves the problem, comes up with another problem, 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 so that you never go, I am powerful. I am in charge. I can do what I want to do. I am setting my mind to this and I'm going to make it happen. When you start acting that way and you go, you know what, no matter what happens, everything is good. I always land on my feet. You have to be at cause. You have to be 100% responsible for everything that happens in your life. And when you take charge, you do. And that's why Jesus kept putting the power back into the people, going, your faith has made you whole. Go and stop making silly mistakes. Go and live your life new, from this new perspective. He didn't say, I did it for you, because if he did, he would just be keeping them prisoner from the very same thing that it keeps most of us prisoner, and that's our social conditioning. And it's all true all around the world. So be 100% responsible. Learn how to change your mind. And if you don't know how to do it, read my book, Get Life on Your Terms. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I created the Attitude Activator, available at rexsikes.com. So with that, let me say, I love you. And what I always tell people is, if you consider it a problem, it's a problem. If you consider it a blessing, it's a blessing. Okay. So we're going to put the picture of the book up with there it is. It's rexsikes.com/book. When you go and get the book today, and you take your receipt code from Amazon and you stick it in a special box, instructions are at the website that you see scrolling below. I'm going to give you, it's a gift, it's a bonus to assist you in transforming your life, called the Mastery Loop. It's how you master your thoughts, your feelings, your speech, your behaviors, your pocketbook, and any skill or challenge you want to do. It's a powerful. In fact, if you get the book today, you'll get the training before you get the book, because you'll take the receipt code, and if you're having the book shipped to you, it'll take however long that does. But you'll get the training before you get the book. But that's fine, because it'll teach you how to go through and read the book. Also, again, get the Attitude Activator. Go to my website, sign up for the newsletter, join me, so that we can stay in touch and reach out and work together to help you live the best life you can, and to live life on your terms and create that life that you absolutely want. So remember, if you think it's a blessing, it's a blessing. If you think it's a problem, it's a problem. Whatever you decide it's going to be, it's going to be. But that's why I say, celebrate everything. Until we see you again next time, happy Thanksgiving and namaste.